So Sarah Ingham has been showing off just how big and loving their family actually is, and not to mention their friendship groups. Oh yes, oh no. I mean, they've got friends all over the world, right? They said this the other day. Sarah herself said this. They have friends all over the world, and it's great that Jace in particular has friends from all different religions and cultures and languages and everything. You know, they've got it all, right? Those kids are so lucky. We're all so jealous, right? Jealous haters in actual fact. But they do have all these friends and family that they can rely on in times of crisis, can't they? Right? You know that they can. They just choose not to, right? Not true. Not true, in fact. So Sarah has responded in the secret group, the super secret group that nobody knows about or nobody knows how to get a hold of or into. Please let me in, Sarah. Please. I feel left out. FOMO is what it is. FOMO. Anyway, yes, Sarah has been responding to somebody who asked about renewing their wedding vows. I know, because it's the 10th year, actually, it's the 10th anniversary this year for the fabulous get-together that was. God knows, right. So, yes, why they want to celebrate it is beyond me. 10 years. Surprised. I'm not going to lie, surprised that it's lasted so long. In actual fact, I reckon it's lasted longer. And this is an actual controversial thing, right? I reckon it's lasted longer because of what Chris did, right? Now, that sounds strange. It does sound strange, admittedly, that him messaging barely legal teens would be a positive in their marriage, but it seems so, because I reckon he was on a downward spiral in terms of his notoriety at the time. He was getting into bed with all sorts of IFAM and, you know, getting down and cozy with them. And he was sleeping with a lot of different people, allegedly, right? We know of at least one that he did definitely sleep with. Now, if he'd carried on that path, he would have got caught out eventually, anyway, by Sarah. And one would have hoped that their marriage would have come to a grinding end. Because otherwise Sarah Ingham is as moronic and stupid as she looks, right? However, because Chris got outed the way that he did, it meant a whole world of shame for Sarah, right? Thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world soon knew who Sarah Ingham was, even if they didn't know before, right? Married to creepy Chris Ingham. That's right. Notoriety, isn't it? So if they had, basically what I'm trying to say is that because they were forced into a situation where Sarah couldn't leave him because she didn't want to, like, you know, break up the partnership. And I don't mean the marriage, I mean the partnership, the business partnership. Don't want to break that up, so therefore they stayed together, and 8 years later they're still together through this weird kind of toxic bonding that they've had all this time. I know, but that's the only reason they're together. It's not because they love each other incredibly or anything like that. Now, I've gone off on a tangent. This video isn't about how much Chris and Sarah Ingham love each other. It's not even close. Well, no, it's about the renewing of the vows, right? So somebody's asked, will they renew their vows? And Sarah has responded in kind. Thank you so much for this question. We always said we would do it for our 10-year anniversary, but I don't think we will do it this year. it's also 10 years since my mum passed not long after. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to do it this year. What, because it's... You do realise that your mum passed just after the wedding, or just after the honeymoon it was. So you're going to have the same issue every single year. You're going to say the exact same thing. Well, it's also been 11 years since my mum passed. It's been 12 years since my mum... You're going to have that same thing every single year. I don't know if you realise that, but yeah. It just doesn't feel right to do it this year, she says. I do like the idea of it, however, not in the traditional way. You don't do anything the traditional way. I know that. Ceremony, party, etc. So you don't want a ceremony or a party. Which way is the traditional? The non-traditional way. Maybe something small and then a little honeymoon for me and Chris somewhere for 2 or 3 nights, as the girls and in-laws all came on our actual honeymoon. Imagine that though, because that did actually happen. They went to Florida and they took all the 3 girls and Jane and Steve on it. Why I don't know. Why not leave the girls behind with... Yeah, anyway. And aside from a week when we first got together 18 years ago, we've never holidayed alone before. I know you don't really want to be left in the same room, let alone the same bed as Chris, without protection, you know. Not that we would want to, but maybe a couple of nights somewhere would be nice. Not ready to leave the little ones yet though, so definitely not this year. Obviously the older girls would have to have them, as we don't have anyone. Oh my god. Okay, so obviously Isabel will... When you say the older girls will have to have them, it would be Isabel that is having them, right? Because she is the only adult out of the group. Right, even if you were to go next year, for example, right, she would be like 20. Esme would be 16. She's not an adult. She can't be looking after your brood for you. Even Isabel, right? You're expecting Isabel to look after Esme, Isla, Jace, Mila, and Aurora. Is that what you're saying to me? 5 children, 3 young ones, right? You want a 20-year-old who gets scared of very basic wasps in her room and hides under a bed if there's a fly around, right? You want her to look after 5 children of yours. Is that what you're saying? Because when you say the older girls would have to look after them, what are you including Isla in that, are you? You think Isla can look after 3 young children? Is that what you're saying? She's a moron. She really is thick. Sorry. She goes on to say, obviously the older girls would have to have them, as we don't have anyone else. So we would need to make sure they're comfortable too. Maybe next year. Also, wouldn't have a big party. We don't have enough close friends that we trust, and our families are tiny. Right, so where do I start with that? Right, so you don't have enough close friends. I'm sorry, I thought you had loads of friends, Sarah. Loads of friends. Loads of them. Right? I'm sorry, right. Okay, so close friends. Right, you have neighbours, don't you? I mean, I'm not suggesting that you dump them on the neighbours, but isn't there a chance maybe one of your lovely neighbours, you know, the ones that are always taking in your packages and that, maybe you could ask them to look after your kids for a couple of nights? You know, I remember when I was younger, we used to go to our neighbours' houses all the time, you know, just to, like, if the parents were away, my parents even, were away, or friends. You claim to have lots of friends. What happened to all these multicultural people that you know from around the world? Right? You must know somebody. And what about your family? My God, what's happened to Jane and Steve? The grandparents, my God, they've been demoted to, well, we can't trust them. Oh no. Oh, we trusted them once upon a time and they defied us. They didn't want to defend a perv anymore. Maybe that's the problem. And even if you don't want to palm them off to Jane and Steve, what about Sarah's dad? Sarah, you have a dad, don't you? He lives up in the northeast. Maybe he could have them, possibly, just for a couple of nights. God knows, maybe, you know, he would love to see his grandchildren. And maybe the kids would love to see their granddad as well. That's a weird setup, isn't it? Aside from that, what about bloody David? David! I know, some of you thinking, who the hell is David? Well, David would be Dave Ingham, my forever Dave, otherwise known as. And he is Chris's, well, we're going to say long lost brother. He was very much part of these vlogs back in the day, and then he disassociated himself with the Ingham family brand. He even denounced himself as not an Ingham on his Instagram, I remember, at that time. That must have stung Chris. Don't lie. It must have stung, right? He took the Ingham off his name because he doesn't want to be known as an Ingham. That's embarrassing. You're embarrassed, aren't you? You're embarrassed. So there's Dave, you know. He could be part of the crew. He used to look after your kids all the time, by the way, didn't he? Do you remember when you went away and he looked after your kids that time? Yeah, that actually did happen. Other ones... So this is what I'm saying. Like, they said the families are tiny, but they're not. They're not tiny. That's the thing. Sarah has about 5 siblings, right? Sarah's got Katrina, my God, Katrina, trusted with all your packages, but not trusted with your kids. Is that what you're saying? Katrina, I'd have words, because she's not putting you across in a very good light. She doesn't trust you at all to look after children. My goodness. I'm sure Katrina would help out for a couple of nights if you wanted to go away, right? Wouldn't she? She did help you attack all the victims of Chris that time. So I'm sure she's trustworthy. I think so. Yeah. Then you've got Katrina, and then you've got her other very unknown, not very well known sister. Is it Lauren? Is it that's her name, isn't it? Lauren, half sister, I think. Very rarely mentioned, if at all. I think maybe Sarah's mentioned her once in like 8 years, so don't know where she's at. I'd like an interview, Lauren. I'd like an interview, if you would. Thanks very much. Then you've got that other one. I want to call him Smithy. His surname's Smith. Smithy. James. It's James, isn't it? That's the one I'm thinking of. James. Yes. Oh, where's he at? Where's Jamesy boy? Jamie boy. Where's he at? And then, the piece de resistance of the Ingham... Well, the Dixon family name is none other than the one, the only, Damo. Why not leave your kids with Damo? I'm sure he'd love to have a go on Esme. Fucking hell. Sorry, that was a poor taste joke, but you know, like, Damien, if you don't know, was in jail, in prison, in a prison specifically for sex offenders, for something to do with underage persons, not unlike Chris. So it's no wonder that Sarah didn't mind Chris having a go at a 16-year-old when her own brother is actually worse than that. But yeah, those are the options. There's a few, isn't there? I would, if I was one of your family, God forbid, I'd be a bit distraught that you wouldn't trust me in this situation, right? Especially Katrina, after everything she's done for you, and you don't even trust her to look after her own nephew and nieces. Disappointing. Anyway, yes, Sarah Ingham announcing that she has no friends, and she's fucked off her entire family so that she can live in a tight little bubble. That's right. So, if you have appreciated this video, please give it a massive thumbs up, comment all of your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, have an amazing day, take care of yourselves, oh yes, and bye-bye.